Hello, and welcome to this presentation of Solynta Academy Micro Schools. My name is Uvier Ugono. I'm the founder and CEO of Solynta Academy, and we're going to go through a very brief presentation about Solynta Academy Micro Schools, explain what we're all about, how it works, the value and the benefits that it brings to both parents, but most especially children in Nigeria. Before I start the presentation, and I'm going to share my screen shortly so you can kind of follow along with what we're doing. Just a brief background about myself. I have a degree in psychology from the United Kingdom, University of London, with a specialism in child psychology and educational psychology. So I have a long history in this particular subject matter and have a great understanding of the things that are needed to improve the education system for children. What we're doing is creating a new system that dramatically improves the quality of education that the child receives in a much more child-friendly and efficient and effective environment. So without further ado, let's proceed into the presentation. I'm going to share my screen, as I said, and then you can follow along as I go through the presentation. And hopefully, it should be fairly clear, everything that I'm talking about. Okay, so Solynta Academy Micro Schools is a new way to learn. It's the personalized attention of tuition, the community of a school, all powered by Solynta Academy. So what is Solynta Academy? Solynta Academy is an AI-powered learning platform. It provides world-class, high-quality educational delivery to every single student across every single subject and every single grade in a very personalized manner, which means that no child gets left behind. Every child is taught at their level and raised up from that position with the objective of every child becoming an A grade and a star student. We're raising leaders of the future, not just children who can pass exams but don't have any additional values or skills thereafter. And the micro-schooling element of this is our way of getting this school to be seeded in the community, giving parents the ability to have a branch very close to themselves, so we can eliminate or reduce the amount of travel and also reduce the amount of cost of education. Our objective is twofold. Number one, it's to dramatically improve the quality of education in Nigeria by making it more accessible and making the quality of educational delivery significantly higher. And number two is to crash the cost of education so that education now becomes something that every single child can get. We're focused on actual education and not just passing of exams. We don't only expect our children to pass their exams, but also to become really, really intelligent and smart and become problem solvers in the economy and in the society at large. We currently have a one-size-fits-all education system. Every child goes to a school, and within this school, you have lots and lots of problems. When a child is learning in a classroom of 30 or more children, obviously, not every child is going to benefit from that situation. The teacher can only teach at one pace, and so most children, by definition, are going to fall behind. We are solving that problem with Solynta Academy, specifically through our micro schools program, which operates all the way across Nigeria. We are Nigeria's first ever multi-branch nationwide school with the objective to have tens of thousands of branches in every single state in Nigeria, with the objective of raising high quality, world-class, well-educated children who become problem solvers and economy creators and job creators for the future Nigeria. So let's delve a little bit into some of the problems that we typically have in the current schooling system. Number one, overcrowded classrooms and limited teacher attention. That should be fairly straightforward. Most schools in Nigeria have an average student to teacher ratio of somewhere between 30 and 50 students per teacher. This is way in excess of what optimum levels should be, which should be no more than 10 to a maximum of 15. We simply don't have enough teachers and high quality teachers to meet the number of students that require education. We have limited access to quality teachers. A sad statistic of Nigeria is that approximately 85% of all teachers in Nigeria are unqualified. When we bear in mind that the level of education a child ultimately receives is directly driven by the quality of the teaching that they received, the fact that most of our teachers are unqualified should give significant cause for concern. As a result of that, we have very inconsistent quality across schools. If there's a shortage of teachers and a shortage of quality teachers, naturally, those schools that can pay higher salaries and therefore charge higher school fees get the best teachers, and every other school is left with what's left over. We have a really inconsistent schooling system, and on average, what we find is that the top 5% of schools tend to do pretty well, but the bottom 95% of schools are getting really, really poor educational service for a relatively high amount of money. We have issues around safety, supervision concerns, and bad peer influences. One of the major problems of the current educational system is that when you combine lack of student engagement, because they're in very large classroom sizes and therefore not getting the one-on-one attention that they need, what naturally happens is children, once they become disengaged, they get bored and then they start to mess around and act up in school. And so one of the things that tends to happen quite a lot in schools is kids begin to act up. Negative peer influences become a major problem. You also have the high cost of tuition, transportation, uniform, and textbooks. There are lots of costs that are borne by parents in Nigeria. These costs only ever go up year after year after year. And in fact, on average, we've had school fees and associated costs increase by an average of 20 to 50% each year for at least the last 3 to 4 years. Suffice to say that the quality of the education that has been received has not increased alongside of it, which means every year, parents are being asked to pay significantly more for the same or worse level of educational output. This, of course, fails to equip our children for global competitiveness. Most of our children learn without using computers. What we found from recent surveys is that practically all of our students are computer illiterate. We live in a world where use of computers and artificial intelligence are as important as the ability to read and write. And yet we have a system of education where it is essentially impossible for every child to be equipped with a computer and to perform their lessons directly on the computer, getting the digital literacy and comfort with computers that are absolutely essential to survive and thrive in this new economy. All of this culminates in really poor exam results. On average, every year, over 75% of Nigerian students fail the JAMB entry exam. Stated another way, it means that 75% plus of our students are going through 12 years of education, and at the end of it are essentially illiterate, which means that the 12 years of education has been a waste. The rate of failure is over 75%. Approximately 2 million students every year sit for the JAMB exam, and less than 500,000 pass the exam. Those children get lost to the system, they get left by the wayside, unable to get a job, unable to go into higher education, they have no skills, they essentially become economically useless and redundant. And this problem compounds and compounds and compounds, and is the reason why we have such low levels of productivity and therefore low levels of wealth and high levels of poverty in Nigeria today. The root cause of the economic problem is the very, very poor academic system that we have in place today. We have an inability to deliver the new curriculum due to poor teacher training, essentially rendering it ineffective. Those of us who are parents know that in September of this year, there was a significant reboot and a redo of the Nigerian curriculum. New subjects like digital technologies have been introduced. The idea being to focus more on technical delivery. There have also been new trade-related subjects like solar installation and engineering introduced into the system. The challenge, of course, is that whilst these new subjects have been introduced and these new technical and good quality subjects have been introduced into the curriculum, we have a teacher training problem. We simply don't have the teachers who are able to teach this new curriculum. As a result, the vast majority of schools in Nigeria today have yet to adopt the new curriculum because they are simply ill-equipped to do so, as they don't have the quality of teachers who can teach these subjects. This is a disaster. So it means that there's a dichotomy between what the federal government is trying to drive in terms of the growth of the Nigerian child and their ability to remain competitive in the global economy. And then there's the reality on the ground of not having the quality of teachers to even be able to teach these new subjects, trapping our children in an archaic and ancient system, which leads to nothing but poverty in the future. Finally, we have zero use of computers. We don't use computers in our schools for a variety and number of reasons, not least because the teachers themselves typically are computer illiterate also. A lot of schools don't have access to electricity. A lot of schools don't have sufficient laptops or computers to be used. And also a lot of parents don't have devices for their children. And there is no system in place to provide those devices to those children. What that means is our children are essentially trapped from entering the highly liquid and wealthy digital economy. We're stuck in the old economy that is low wage, low financial future. These are really important issues. We must have every single one of our children being highly computer literate because we now live in an AI and computer-driven world. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, an inability to use a computer and to be computer and digitally literate is the equivalent of not being able to read and write. And so whilst we may have our kids in school and we think they're being well educated because they're reading from textbooks that were written 35 years ago, the reality is the world has moved on. And those children's economic value is going to be directly related to their level of digital and computer literacy. All the value of the world economy is being driven through the digital economy. That's where our children need to be. That's where their value is going to be. That's where the jobs of the present and the future are being created. And we need our children to be able to key into that by getting the high quality of education that they actually need to be competitive in the world. This is what Solynta Academy has been built to create. So let me introduce you to Solynta Academy Micro School in much more detail. It's the best of both worlds in a small, powerful community. So our mission is simple, and our model is simple: small, focused, and social. So a Solynta Academy Micro School is a small group of students learning together in a supportive, home-like environment. The optimum number of students to teacher ratio is between 8 and 15. We have created a system that directly implements this through the use of teacher-led micro schools. Every one of our micro schools is operating from a teacher's home or a nearby facility, which is overseen by a qualified, highly experienced teacher to provide the human guidance that the student needs to reach their full potential. There are two parts to education. One is the curriculum delivery, the academics, and two is the social part of the learning experience, the human part of the learning experience. The AI handles the teaching part, and the human teacher handles everything else. The interactions with children, the assistance, the accountability partnership, the mentorship, the guidance, and as well, the children also get to interact with each other in this nice, safe, healthy, conducive environment, giving them the best of all worlds. They get the one-on-one tuition that every single child requires through our personalized, interactive, and engaging AI-powered learning platform, which has been built to global standards. So whilst it delivers a Nigerian curriculum, it's actually benchmarked internationally. So they're learning the Nigerian curriculum as required by the government, but it's done to a very high standard that is equivalent to the best curricula everywhere in the world. We handle all exam preparation for WIAC, NECO, and JAM. And we also handle all of the administration around doing the exams. So we'll get the children registered with the nearest exam centers, get their registration numbers, get their timetables. We handle the entire end-to-end process. So it's just like going to a regular school. We are responsible for that. All the child has to do is show up and do their exams. We're affordable. Our system is very simple. All a child needs is a laptop or a tablet computer. That's it. There are no textbooks. There's nothing else required. They can use writing materials because that can help with their, with their lessons as they go along to make notes and that type of thing. But essentially, you have a laptop or a tablet computer, and you're plugged into the Wi-Fi system, which is provided by the micro school, and the child has access to world-class educational delivery delivered by an AI tutor, which is infinitely patient. It takes the child from level 1 all the way through to level 10 to make sure that every child understands the lessons, understands the curricula, and can ask as many questions as they want and always get a perfect answer with the maximum amount of patience. We're affordable. We operate a pricing model in 3 tiers. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. The tier system reflects the fact that different parts of the country have different prices for school fees, which reflects the cost of rent and other expenses. And so we have divided every part of the country into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is the highest tier, so the most exclusive locations, for example, Ikoyi, Lekki, Victoria Island in Lagos, for example, Maitama in Abuja, etc. And the highest tier, the primary school fees are 170,000 naira per term, and the secondary school fees are 190,000 naira per term. So primary school is 170,000 naira per term, secondary school is 190,000 per term. Tier 2 areas, in those areas, the school fees are 120,000 naira per term for primary and 130,000 naira per term for secondary. And finally, in tier 3 areas, the lowest areas, the poorest areas across the country, our tier pricing is 75,000 naira for primary school, and 80,000 naira for secondary school. So we're very competitively priced. We're priced in a way to make it affordable for as many Nigerian parents as possible to enable their children to get a world-class, high-quality education without breaking the bank. Our system does comprehensive progress tracking. It's transparent, real-time progress monitoring for parents. Each parent has their own dashboard. They can log in anytime and just see in real time how their children are doing. For example, if you log in at, say, 12 noon, you can see how many lessons your child has done for the day so far, which subjects they've done. You can even click into their lesson notes to see what they've actually learned. You can click into the reports that have been generated to see how they've performed, what grading they've got, what they've done well, what they need to work on more. And you can have that real visual oversight of exactly how your child is progressing day by day, week by week, month by month, term by term, year by year. And so it's an extremely transparent, highly visible, very powerful way to track the progress of every single child. What you will see is your child, the level of your child's learning is beginning to increase quite dramatically over time. And you'll begin to see the changes in your child as they become much more mentally agile, alert, inquisitive, and they'll begin to solve problems. But most importantly, you'll find that they become extremely engaged with their learning. And that's the most important thing, is that we've created a really engaging platform, a way for those kids to learn. Finally, talk about our micro schools specifically. They are flexible and safe. Every micro school location is a structured environment with tutors who are overseeing the learning of every single child, getting to know your child, helping with their guidance, so the child feels safe, secure, protected, heard, and they can have all of their issues attended to. They're also learning in a communal setting, which means they can also have friendships with their fellow classmates. They get to play together during the lunch times and break times, of which there are many, to give the child's brain a chance to, rest and recuperate. So we really focus on the overall nurturing and growth of every single child. Beyond just the academics, which is exceptional, we focus a lot on the child's well-being. And we've created a system in an easy to package, easy replicable system to ensure that there is no part of Nigeria where a parent cannot find a local learning center to send their child to, and a local micro school to send their child to, and get the full benefit of a world-class education at a price that they can afford. Okay, so what's the magic behind the learning? There are three key things. One is independent learning. This is very, very important. Our platform is as engaging as a game, that's a computer game. So in the same way which you don't have to oversee your child to play a computer game, what you'll find is that you're able to, your children will just learn. They will get to really love learning because it's almost like a computer game. They get to ask as many questions as they want. There's nothing like a silly question. The AI will always answer them, to give them information. If they want it broken down, to give them a breakdown exactly as they need it. But critically, it never deviates from the actual curriculum that has been designed to teach. If a child asks a question that's not related to the subject or to the curriculum, the AI will gently guide them back to the lesson so that they can really focus on the lesson and get a high quality of learning. So they really understand the topics and not just copying notes in the classroom, as sadly is the case today across the majority of Nigerian schools. I mentioned real-time tracking before. That's critical. Both you and your learning center operator, your micro school operator, gets instant, real-time, clear reports on your child's progress. You can see their strengths and weaknesses, which topics they're strong at, which they're weak at, where they need more help. It will set their homework for them. And of course, the operator and yourselves can track that they're doing their homework and are really learning in a very dynamic fashion. What you learn as a parent, that the more that you get to oversee the system, the more you begin to really understand about your child's education. It's educational for the parents themselves. You get to see what topics they're doing within each subject, where they're good, where they're not so good. And what you'll find is that very quickly, you yourself will become an expert at just understanding your child's educational growth story. And this is fantastic. Fantastic for a child, delivering world-class education to every single child, irrespective of their academic or their economic background. The idea is no matter where every child is, the system will meet you where you are and bring you to the highest levels, not just so you can get a certificate at the end of the day, but so you can become an intelligent, high IQ person who can now become a problem solver, not only in Nigeria, but across the globe. We meet global standards. This is very important. We've taken the Nigerian curriculum, which falls quite far below its international peers in terms of the depth and quality of the teaching that is both delivered and the expectations of a child. We've using the well-used and well-known metric to measure the quality of a curriculum. We've been able to lift the standard of the curriculum to international standards. The effect of that is, it means that the exams are going to be very easy for your child. Your child will be able to sit international exams and pass them just as easily, for example, the IGCSEs, because the level of learning that's being done for the WAEC or NECO is essentially at or above the highest levels expected anywhere in the world. One of the effects of that is that when they come to sit their WAEC or the NECO exams, they're going to find them very, very easy because they stop quite a way short of what is really expected, for example, from the UK curriculum. So we are, as I mentioned earlier, we are not so focused on the exam accreditation because to us, that's a formality. That goes without saying. We can guarantee that every single child is going to pass their exams. That's why we offer the full money back guarantee. No pass, no pay. Because we know that that's actually easy with this system. Every child will pass their exams to a very high standard. That's guaranteed. We're focused on beyond that. That's not a difficult thing to achieve. What we're really focused on is not only will they pass their exams, but they're going to become significantly more intelligent. What we're really trying to drive at is the intelligence, the cognitive capacity of our children to become problem solvers, both in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. We need more intelligent people to solve our problems. And I strongly believe that the development of Nigeria's economy is going to be primarily driven by our children. We live in a very blessed time. Technology has made this opportunity possible. For the first time in human history, we now have the opportunity to deliver a world-class education to every single child on earth. The cost barriers have largely been eliminated. The level of education that is being delivered with this system costs $75,000 a year in the United States. We are able to deliver the equivalent of a $75,000 a year education to Nigerians for less than $300 a year, based on whichever tier you're in. This is unparalleled. We're able to do this in a way that hasn't been possible before because of the advent of artificial intelligence, plus our ability to distribute the implementation of this via our home-based network. We are a real community. So this is more than just academics. We're building community centers. So it's not just academics that takes place in these learners, in these home micro schools and learning centers. Each learning center, each operator will provide additional extracurricular activities at their facility, from creative arts, tech and collaboration, for example, building software to solve problems, music, life skills, debating skills, business and entrepreneurship, programs. All of these things will be done, first of all, within our learning center environments, And then more widely, within our various competitions that we're going to be putting up, the ability, the meetup groups, which would allow students to meet up with other students who are also from our learning centers, all the way through the system to our full end of year extravaganza, which will be held in Abuja or Lagos every single year, televised, where they get to do a lot of sports and games and debating and do business presentations, where the winners get prizes and get funded. It's a really fantastic opportunity for children to not only learn academically, but to really get a full grounding in all the other skills that every single child is going to need going forward. The ability to interact with others, to work collaboratively with others in projects, in play, to be able to use technology to deliver actual projects, to be able to build software to solve problems, to develop life skills that every child needs, right through to sports and all else besides. So we're building a real community. The Solynta Academy community is more than just academics. Academics, of course, are the critical thing, but we're building more than that because we want to raise future leaders of the world. Awesome. So what we're going to do now, you've heard enough from me, I'm sure. So I want to play a testimonial video from one of our parents who's speaking specifically about the technology itself. So what I've explained and talked about so far are micro schools, how it works. Essentially, you sign up and you can enroll your child in one of the nearest centers to yourself, and away they go. We also have parents who just use the platform by itself in their own settings. So I'm going to play you a video testimony from one of our parents who's using the platform, who's talking specifically about the technology that we're using and how powerful it actually is. So I'm going to play the video and hopefully you find it quite useful. I'm going to share my screen just a second.
Let me see if I can do camera. I'm not quite sure, but all right, good. Okay. So I want to talk about how my brother is using the Solynta Academy platform. But first, I want to talk about why I'm homeschooling. So I homeschool my 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old. I have been homeschooling him since he could talk, right? And my brother hasn't always been living with me. He was in school and he wasn't doing very well, which was a little strange because he's incredibly intelligent. He's well-read. He knows a lot of things about a lot of things, just to put it simply. He knows all the facts. He knows about different countries. He knows history. He reads a lot, right? But he wasn't engaged in school. And that brings me to why I'm homeschooling. He needed what Solynta Academy offers, which is personalized learning. And what that means really is that his education is tailored to what he needs, specifically tailored to what he needs. Now he's currently in SS1, right? However, in certain areas of the curriculum, he's advanced way beyond the SS1 level. And because of that, he wasn't really engaged in school because a lot of the things that he was being taught, it was just too basic for him. Another thing that made him unable to stay engaged in school was because, to put it in his own words, his teachers didn't know what they were talking about. So they would show up to class and they would read out from their notes and then they would leave, or they would just give them notes to copy and they would leave. And there was no way for them to actually understand the topic that they were being taught, right? Now, he's been using Solynta Academy, the platform, for a month. This is the second month, and this is his specific feedback to me. He said to me that I can actually understand these things now, because he really struggled with math, which to me was ridiculous, because if he can figure out how to build a website on his own using a broken down laptop, math shouldn't be an issue. But the problem was that there was nobody explaining anything at all. But since he's been working with the platform, he can ask questions and get extensive answers from the AI tutor. So because of that, he's able to like go really deep into whatever the subject matter is and understand it properly before he can move on. That's what personalized learning is really, because when you're in a classroom of say 20 students, which is almost never the case, the classrooms are usually even overcrowded. But let's say you're in a class of 20 students and you're trying to understand how to measure calculate the circumference of a circle, but the teacher is ready to move on because the majority of the class is ready to move on. What do we do then? The teacher can't come back and focus on just that one student, and that's the advantage of the learning platform for me. That's the one thing that I could say to you: do this for your child, not because your child is behind and not because they have special needs, but simply for the fact that personalized learning is what is needed today in education, because every child learns at different stages, at different levels, and at different paces and in different ways. And so with the AI tutor, the system learns how the child learns. If I don't know if that makes sense to you, but the system learns how that child learns and starts to teach that child in that way that the child learns. And it's so engaging. It's like they're having a conversation with somebody. Now I work from home, but that doesn't mean that I can be with him 24/7. I'm very busy as well working. So there's a classroom area in my house and he's there. And once in a while I could just walk in and say, how's it going? And he says, oh, it's good. I've spent a longer time on this math lesson because I'm trying to understand this part, but so far so good. That's the most supervision that I have to do, because it's very engaging for him. And I never have to say to him, go and start your classes, because he wants to start. And here's why: not just because the classes are engaging, but because he can see his progress. He can see how he is progressing in his lessons. He can see his grades. He can see how well he's doing. So he wants to do better. Kids want to do better. Kids want to learn, right? And what the system does is, by giving them so much information in such a casual way, if I'm not sure that's the right word, but in the way that it's provided to them, the children want to learn. And that's the most important thing for us to build in the next generation. That's curiosity, that's interest in learning. That's why I homeschool my son, so that he can have that curiosity that makes him want to find out things, want to know more about things. And if there's anything at all that the Solynta Academy platform is doing for me, for my family, is keep the children engaged and keep them learning about different things and help them, go deeper into the things that they are interested in. In that way, they get the knowledge that they need to get to pass the exams required by the Nigerian Ministry of Education, but they have extensive knowledge about several things. And I feel like that's a very important thing for kids to have going forward, because like I always say to people, I want to raise children who can survive in the next 10 years. With my degree and the way we studied back in the day, our jobs are not going to be there. That's the truth. A lot of things are going away, and we need to be able to raise children that can survive in the new world that is powered by artificial intelligence, because not everybody is going to be able to work in that new world. So we have to do what we have to do to make sure that our children can survive, can contribute positively, and be pillars of the new society. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I hope that was useful. It's always good to hear from actual users of the platform and get it from their perspective. We've had a lot of feedback from our parents saying what a great thing it's been for their children. We have parents overseas who are using the platform for their kids. The feedback has been really tremendous, and we always get the same feedback: engaging. That's the thing that we built this for. We built it to be engaging, most importantly, because an engaged child is a child that does well in academics. When a child is bored, the child is not engaged, they cannot learn. And so what happens is in a typical classroom environment, that's the number one reason why children are not doing well, why they're failing. It's not because they're dull, because they don't have the academic potential. It's primarily because they're not engaged. If you solve the engagement problem that we have, you essentially solve the problem of poor academic output and poor academic results. Okay, great. So just finally, to wrap up, let me just talk about our referral program that we have in place. Very, very lucrative. It's a 4-stage multi-level referral program. On the screen, you can see how much we pay. So it works very, very simply. When you as a parent registers on our website, when you register and create your profile, you are allocated a unique identifier reference, a unique ID. That unique ID tracks you through our back-end system. If you refer a parent to one of our micro schools anywhere in Nigeria, once they register, they will put that referral ID as part of the registration process. It automatically tracks them through the system, and then we refer other people and continues all the way down the tiers and levels. You get 10,000 naira for every level 1 referral. So everyone that you refer, for every child, it's not per parent, it's per child. So if you refer one person who has 2 children, then you'll get 20,000 naira in fees. Everyone that they refer, i.e. your level 2 referrals, you get 5,000 naira. So they will get 10,000 as their level 1, but you will get 5,000 as your level 2. Anyone that person refers, they're now your level 3 referrals, you will get 2,500 naira referral fee. And finally, anyone that person refers, they're now your tier 4 referrals, you get another 2,500 naira. This makes a very, very powerful and highly lucrative payment process, because what it means is, very simply, on average, if you refer 10 parents and each parent enrolls 2 children, and if every single parent who comes on board does the same thing, they also just refer 10 parents and each of those parents signs up 2 children, it means that you will earn about 55 million naira in referral income across your four tiers, and that can happen in as little as 2 to 3 months. It is simply a case of refer your friend, refer your family, refer your acquaintances. When they register, you give them your registration ID. When they register, you put the ID in place, and that's it. If for whatever reason they forget to put the registration ID in place, you just tell us, and in the back end, we will just insert that registration ID, presumably. So let's say it was blank, we'll just add your name to it, and you're always going to be captured. So this is not only a way to create a world-class education system that is accessible to all Nigerian parents by making it local and cheap. Not only does it create a fantastic community for the children to grow and expand and be the equals of their peers in the richest countries in the world, but also it creates a phenomenal opportunity for parents to earn a lot of money. We already have parents who are starting to accrue quite large amounts of earnings on the platform simply by referring people via the platform. This is real, it works, it's very, very powerful. We believe that we will have at least 5 million students learning via the Solynta Academy platform within the next 5 to 7 years. If you calculate the potential revenues that are going to be paid out over that time, we're talking in the tens to hundreds of billions of naira. This is going to be paid out to people simply by going through the referral tracking process. The money is being paid out of the fees that the parent is being paid, so it's fully sustainable. For example, if you look at the structure, it means that we pay 20,000 naira in commissions. That's simply what this means. 10 plus 5 plus 25 plus 25 is 20,000 naira. So we as a company, every time we get paid, our termly fee for that, the first termly fee for that new student, out of that money we take 20,000 naira, and then we just pay it across the 4 tiers. That is going to become an enormous amount of money. And of course, what it means is, if you think about it logically, it means that those who get in early will benefit the most, because it means that you can refer as many tier 1 people as possible. The more tier 1 people you refer, the more people you directly refer, the bigger your earning network will of course be. I'm sure you all know how this works. I don't have to explain it to you. So get referring, refer as many students as possible, and earn a lot of money while solving the education problems in Nigeria, not only for your own children, but for the country as a whole, because we will all benefit from a high quality, well-educated student base, which will become the workforce and the employers and the entrepreneurs and the business people and the leaders of the tomorrow that we all want to see. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. And here are the ways that you can get in touch with us. You can email us, and that's probably the best form of contact. hello@solynta.academy. That's hello@solynta.academy. And our phone number is written there, +234 706 991 1344. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to building a greater future for your children, our children, and our country going forward through Solynta Academy micro schools. I hope you found this presentation useful and engaging. And as I said, if you have any questions whatsoever, please get in touch with us. There'll be a recording of this video which can go out, and you can listen to it as many times as you want. If you need further clarification, you contact us directly. We will give you all the information that you need. If you need any assistance or anything like that, we are more than happy to help you. We welcome you on board, and we hope that together we're able to build the great educational system that we deserve and we need to finally lift our country out of poverty. Thank you, everybody, and do have a great rest of your day.